The last ward. No one remembered when St. Elora Hospital had first opened. The building stood on the edge of the city like a decaying monument. 7 stories of cracked concrete, narrow windows, and rusted fire escapes. From the outside, it looked abandoned. Yet every night, lights flickered on inside as if someone or something still worked there. People avoided the place. Taxi drivers refused to pass it after sunset. Even stray dogs circled wide around the iron gates, whining softly as they went. But the city never officially closed St. Elora, and that was the problem. The night shift. Mara Collins needed the job. She told herself that as she stood at the hospital's entrance at 11:47 p.m., her breath fogging the cold glass doors. Nursing school debt. Rent overdue. No other offers. The position was simple. Night shift intake nurse, temporary assignment. Most wards are closed, the administrator had said, smiling too quickly. You'll barely see patients. That should have been her first warning. The door slid open with a tired mechanical groan, and the smell hit her. Immediately, bleach layered over. Something old and organic, like rot trapped behind plastic. The lobby lights flickered. Hello? Mara called. Her voice echoed longer than it should have. A security guard sat behind the desk, motionless. His uniform looked decades old. Excuse me? She said, stepping closer. The guard slowly lifted his head. His eyes were cloudy, unfocused, and far too still. Sign in, he said, voice flat. She wrote her name in a ledger already filled with handwriting. Hundreds of names, stretching back years. Many dates repeated. Some entries ended abruptly mid-word, as if the writer had been interrupted. When she looked up, the guard was gone. The empty floors. Mara's station was on Ward C, 3rd floor. The elevator took a long time to arrive. When it did, the inside smelled worse. Iron and antiseptic mixed together. The buttons were scratched, most labels missing. Only 3 still lit up, B, C, and 7. She pressed C. As the doors closed, she heard something scrape against the ceiling. The elevator jolted, then began moving, slowly, unevenly. Halfway up, it stopped. The lights dimmed. Something breathed behind her. She spun around. Nothing. After a long, suffocating pause, the elevator lurched again and opened onto Ward C. The hallway stretched endlessly in both directions. Rows of patient rooms stood open, beds neatly made, IV lines hanging unused like limp veins. Yet the call buttons were blinking. Someone was calling for help. Patient 312. Mara followed the sound to room 312. Inside lay a man wrapped in stained sheets. His face was pale, eyes sunken deep into his skull. You're late, he whispered. I'm sorry, Mara said automatically, stepping closer. What's your name? He smiled. My name doesn't matter. It never sticks. She noticed his chart at the foot of the bed. Patient admitted, 1963. Condition, ongoing. That can't be right, she muttered. The man's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. His grip was impossibly strong. Don't let them take me to the 7th floor, he begged. That's where they finish you. Who? Mara asked, heart pounding. Before he could answer, the light snapped off. When they came back on, the bed was empty. The sheets were still warm. The 7th floor. At 2:13 a.m., the elevator rang. Mara hadn't called it. The doors opened on their own. Inside stood a gurney. A clipboard lay on top, bearing her name. Transfer authorization, Mara Collins. Destination, floor 7. Her stomach twisted. She backed away, but the hallway behind her was gone. In its place stood a wall of peeling paint. The only way left was forward. The elevator door slammed shut. The ride up was worse than before. The walls seemed to breathe, metal expanding and contracting like lungs. Whispering voices crawled through the air, overlapping and unintelligible. When the doors opened, she understood why no one returned from the 7th floor. The last ward, the 7th floor, was alive. Not in the way hospitals should be. Beds lined the halls, each holding a patient restrained by leather straps. Their bodies were twisted unnaturally, limbs bent at impossible angles. Machines hummed beside them, tubes burrowing into flesh. Doctors walked among them. Their faces were covered by surgical masks, stitched directly into their skin. One turned toward Mara. New admission, it said cheerfully. I work here, Mara whispered. The doctor tilted its head. So do they. The patients began to scream. Mara was dragged into an operating room. See-through curtains revealed other surgeries already in progress. Patients lay awake, eyes wide with terror as doctors carved symbols into their skin. A woman on the next table locked eyes with Mara. "I died here," she sobbed, "but they wouldn't let me leave." The head surgeon stepped forward. "Saint Alora treats what death cannot," it said. "We preserve consciousness. We extend suffering. We keep the hospital alive." Mara thrashed as straps tightened around her wrists. "You needed the job," the surgeon continued. "That's how we get most of you." Mara woke up in a bed on Ward C. Sunlight streamed through the windows. A nurse stood beside her, smiling. "Welcome to your first full shift," the nurse said. Mara tried to speak. No sound came out. Her body wouldn't move. The nurse handed her a clipboard. On it was a list of names. At the bottom, freshly written, Mara Collins, night intake nurse. Down the hall, room 3 Marcel's call light blinked. Years later, the city would claim St. Alora Hospital finally closed. But on quiet nights, people still saw lights flickering in the upper floors. And sometimes, if you listened closely near the gates, you could hear a nurse screaming, not for help, but to warn you not to apply.